Hello and welcome to this rather impromptu Friday Live on the road. Hope you're all doing well and you've had a great week in Strata. No, you didn't get a heads up from me that I would be here at this time today. Usually we have a post on the page. We're very organized, we're scheduled, we send you an email letting you know that I'll be live and a little hint at what I'll be talking about. Today is a little different. Yes, I am on the road. I am actually sitting in an airport at the moment, on the move. Another day, another airport for me. And I thought I would jump in, say hello, give you a little update on what I've been doing today and how it might relate to something we were talking about earlier in the week. I have jumped in so impromptu that I don't actually have my team here yet supporting me. So if you are here live and if there is any issue at all with the audio or anything that might be popping up that it shouldn't, please let me know and I'll do my best to troubleshoot. I don't have Rochelle here with me, but I know that she's on her way. I wanted to come back around to the article that appeared in the Herald and the Age this week. I think it was Monday that we saw that article. Actually had the journalist Caitlin Fitzsimmons gave me a call over the weekend, last weekend, and said, Amanda, writing a piece about washing on balconies in Strata, and I'd really love your thoughts on that. Is that something that you've come across before? Are you hearing more complaints about washing on balconies? Is this an issue in buildings? We had a little chat. We had a chat while I was walking my dogs, actually, on the weekend. And the article came out on Monday with comments from me and from Tim Graham in Victoria, who's also the president of the Australian College of Strata Lawyers. We took a certain view on this issue of washing on balconies. Can buildings pass bylaws to ban completely washing on balconies? Is that still a thing? Are people still doing that? Or are we moving with the times, recognizing that people are struggling with the cost of living? It costs money to run a dryer. People are more conscious of the environmental impact of dryers. We want to be using that wonderful resource that our sun is to be able to dry our undies out in the air. Yes, this was an article, almost full page article in the Herald on Monday. And the feature case study in that article was an owner who is living with her family in a property in Summerhill in Sydney's inner west, has been living there for some years, said in the article that they were one of those naive strata purchasers who bought in not really understanding strata, have been drying their washing on the balcony from time to time and have been told that they are in breach of the bylaws. They have been threatened with a $1,000 fine, and this owner has taken steps to try to have this bylaw changed, to try to have it amended, to be up with the modern day, get with the times, get with the program, bring the building to a position where owners are allowed to have their washing on the balcony. I have a little bit of inside information about that particular building and that experience. This is the person in the article is not my client, not somebody who I'm working with, but I am aware that the proposal to amend this bylaw went before a general meeting this week. I'm not sure exactly what the amendment was, whether it was a complete repeal of this ban or whether it was an amendment to somehow soften the restriction. But the proposal went before a meeting this week and it failed. So the bylaw remains in place. The ban on washing on balconies remains in place in this building. And this owner is unhappy, I think is okay to say, unhappy with that result. Here's the thing about the result and why I wanted to pop in and let you know about it. The proposal to change the bylaw failed by a fraction, by less than 1%. If we're going to amend bylaws, if we're going to repeal bylaws, we need to pass a special resolution at a general meeting. This special resolution was not achieved, but it failed because one owner voted a certain way, one owner didn't turn up. It failed really on the balance of one vote. So the vast majority of this community who turned up to this meeting and were voting on this motion wanted a change, but it didn't achieve that 75% support that is needed to get a special resolution across the line. I'm interested to know what you think about that. We have a community where the vast majority of people want to change the bylaw to allow people to hang washing on balconies from time to time, whatever the amendment was, I'm not exactly sure. Vast majority want to change, but because of this technical requirement in our legislation that a special resolution be achieved, that resolution was not achieved by a fraction. It was less than 1% on a unit entitlement basis, wasn't achieved. That bylaw, for now, is not going to change. Why is it so hard? Why is it so hard for owners to make this kind of change? I don't think it's the end of the story for this particular owner. There may be another attempt to change the bylaw. There may be a challenge to this bylaw. If you read the article in the Herald or in the Age, and we've also got a copy of it further down here on our Facebook page, it's on LinkedIn as well. If you read the article, you would see my view is that bylaws that completely ban the hanging of washing on balconies, regardless of whether you can see it or not, regardless of whether it's hanging over balustrades or not, bylaws that completely ban the hanging of washing on balconies, I think are probably harsh. And in New South Wales, harsh bylaws can be challenged for being invalid, not enforceable. We can't have bylaws that are harsh, unconscionable, or oppressive. And if we do, it is open to the tribunal to invalidate those. I think this bylaw might fall into that category. I think there were comments in the article from lawyer Tim Graham in Victoria also saying that a bylaw that deals with hanging washing on balconies in order to dry and avoid the use of electricity is quite possibly a bylaw that deals with sustainability and sustainability infrastructure. So maybe those types of bylaws should have a different threshold of approval and be easier to make and easier to change. I agree with that. So that's the discussion. Amongst all the things we could be talking about in strata, that has been the discussion that's been going on in the media this week. I know it was on the radio, it was mentioned on podcasts as well. I wanted to drop in and take the temperature of the room. Let's say if you're watching me live and you've got any comments about that, if you're watching me live and you just want to say hello, I've seen lots of you come in since I have gone live. I said to you at the top, it's a rather impromptu live. We didn't schedule this one. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to make it. I've been on the road. I am sitting at an airport and waiting for our boarding to be called. But I wanted to pop in and revisit that story in the media from earlier this week. And it's at the front of my mind today because I've spent part of the day attending a general meeting on behalf of a client. I was appointed as a proxy to attend this meeting. I attended it online, and similar to our news story, there was a bylaw on the agenda, a bylaw for my client's renovation. Proposing some fantastic renovations to an older style apartment that really needs these renovations to be done. As part of the renovations, some outstanding repair work to common property is going to be made at the cost of my client, by my client, for the benefit of the Owners Corporation. And this is the second time that the proposal that the bylaw to approve the renovation has been put before the owners at a general meeting. The first time, the bylaw failed, the motion containing the bylaw failed, and owners felt that they didn't have enough information. They wanted to look at the documents a little bit more closely. They wanted to understand what was being proposed. That work was done. more information provided about the renovation, more assurances provided to owners about what was happening and the bylaw back before a general meeting here online today. The bylaw just very narrowly got through today. There were still some objections from owners. There were actually a couple of compromises that needed to be made in order to get the bylaw through. The objections on the part of owners seem to be objections for the sake of objections, I'm going to say. And the words of Professor Kathy Sherry are ringing in my ears when she says, in strata, sometimes people just enforce rules because they can. They impose rules because they can. If we're living in a non-strata titled property, even if it's a terrace house or a semi-detached or a duplex, if it's not strata, then you can't regulate the way that your neighbour, your very, very close neighbour, renovates their property, how they or where they hang their washing, whether or not they have a dog, how noisy they are. But in strata, we can do all of these things. And in some communities, I hear this from you, and I have to say, I agree. Sometimes we just see these rules being imposed or enforced for the sake of it, because they can. There was a particular owner online at this meeting today who said, I'm just going to vote against this motion. No real explanation as to why they were doing that. So, yes, I am in an airport. Yes, there is a flight heading out that I will very shortly be getting on. Sounding like now might be that time. Quick hellos to Leonie, to Maureen. Tracy is saying washing should not be hung up in a visible location on a balcony. There's plenty of other options to hang your washing inside your lot so others don't have to look at it. Absolutely a valid point of view there, Tracy. Something that I think got published in the article that I've been talking about today and that was in the Herald and the Age on Monday. Part of my comment was, I think if buildings are not providing other options for the hanging of washing, no outdoor clotheslines, no screening, perhaps if there isn't another viable area inside a lot because our newer apartments are just too small, they're dark, they are poorly designed, as I've been hearing other strata representatives, stakeholders say this week. I agree with you. I agree with that. I think if those options aren't there, these bylaws that prevent people from hanging washing on balconies are going to be considered in that context harsh and may well be open to challenge if you haven't got those other options. If you don't want your fellow residents hanging their undies out in the sun and having to have a look at that, maybe think about, are there other areas on the common property where you might be able to set up a line or two to be able to provide that in a place that is appropriate, more appropriate, you think, than being on the balconies. So, things to think about. It has definitely been the experience this week of hearing some odd positions taken on the part of certain owners, both buildings I'm not involved with, but I'm hearing about through you, through others, through the media, and buildings that I am involved with. I think as our communities become more complex, our needs become more complex, and our understanding as strata owners and occupiers of what we are and are not entitled to do becomes more sophisticated, we're going to see more of these discussions. And it's part of the reason I love this area of the law. I love being a strata lawyer because these questions come up. One day I'm talking about sophisticated financial products like strata loans, and the next I'm talking about drying your undies in the sun. Pretty cool. I'm going to jump on my flight before I miss out. I hope you have a fantastic weekend in strata. Thank you for joining me as I snuck up on you here with this live. I'll look forward to catching you all again next time. Bye for now.